Yep.
Chris,
Yes.
Dana.
Consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Properly moved by Joe, second by Dylan to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Personnel.
Personnel, before we jump into any details there, I just wanted to pass along my condolences and that on behalf of the district for Lola Trenkamp. Lola was our assistant cook over at the junior high school, suffered a heart attack and died unexpectedly, which saddened obviously our school and a lot of family and people in our community. Lola was a huge asset to our school. I know she was a great partner to Melissa in the kitchen, and one of the things that always stood out to me about her was just her, she was just so vibrant and just full of life and willing to do whatever, and there's no hiding how much she cared about kids, and we were very lucky to have her with us for the time that we did, but just very sad about her passing, and just wanted to make note of that here in our meeting tonight. Other than that, I'm extremely excited about our personnel moves. Right now, I don't want to jinx us, but we're going to be heading into the next school year as well staffed, not just with positions being filled, but also with quality people, the right people in the right places. We have several people that have kind of moved from one position to another. Mr. Cruzy being here a year, kind of getting to know the strengths and skills that he brings to the school. He's been able to work with them to just make some moves that everybody feels good about, and I'm just very excited about the people that we've got in the places. Are there any specific questions in regards to personnel?
I would just like to bring up that Joy Ports. I've been here for a long time and like to wish her the best of luck.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. I did make a note that Jason James did inform me. Jason is our transportation director. He did inform me Monday morning this week that he is taking another position with the state. He has to be with me Monday morning to inform me that he's putting in his 30 days notice. So he'll continue with us through the transition to whomever we appoint to that position. I've had a couple people reach out and say if we couldn't find anybody, they'd be interested in stepping into that position. I had another highly qualified individual formally apply for the position and has high interest in that. So I feel really good about being able to fill that with a good person that kind of just knows transportation, knows our routes, vehicles, and our staff. So, be sad to see him go, but there's a better opportunity for himself and his family. So we'll continue to seek a good applicant to fill that. If there aren't any other questions, then I recommend approval as presented. Hi, Jody.
I'll make a motion to approve personnel as presented. I'll second.
Been properly moved by Chris, second by Walt to approve personnel as presented. I also want to thank Sarah Nelson.
Yeah. Yep.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve updates to staff student handbooks, exhibit 4.
Share a few things. As I kind of reviewed these before the meeting, I thought, man, this is going to be a lot easier than in recent meetings where we've had to do some major revisions. I'll just kind of go over the staff handbook piece. If Mr. Daniels or Mr. Cruzy have any input or anything that they want to share, then I encourage them to do so. Gentlemen, if you're okay, I'll just kind of go over some minor things in the staff handbook, and then I'll turn it over to you to do your individual buildings. So in the staff handbook, we'll see just some updates to some names, transportation requests that previously stated you go to the building principal. We want that going to our transportation director. Down here, item number 32, it made specific reference to teacher dress. For whatever reason, that it previously listed junior high and high school teachers, where our intent is to enforce the business casual dress code for all of our teachers, elementary and junior high school, with the exceptions that are listed in there, when it might pertain to a certain job, like a PE teacher or a preschool teacher, where different attire might be acceptable. We're recommending the addition of this statement here. Classified employees may be entitled to no more than one 10-minute break in the morning and one 10-minute break in the afternoon, scheduled at the discretion of their supervisor. That's more or less just to keep it equitable between both buildings and for all staff. The classified piece refers to any of our non-licensed positions, so that would be cooks, custodians, secretaries, and any of those positions. This is a small revision just on our announcements, just updating a couple of words and modifying the time when the announcements are going out. This is an addition just to provide some clarity for temporary leave, making sure that our employees know that while we do, our policy allows them to use temporary leave for medical reasons, that is, we don't allow the paid leave when it is an elective or cosmetic surgery. Other than that, I think those are the only updates that we're recommending to the staff handbook. Any questions on any of those items? If there's no questions, I'll kind of turn over, let Mr. Cruzy go first, since he's the new veteran principal around here.
So long.
Yeah.
So ours, there's just a couple minor things. One was just an update to service learning requirements. For some reason, 2 years ago, it was written in one way, and then last year, I think it got an old wording got approved in it. So it's just a change back to what it was originally supposed to be in there last year. So still 10 hours, 20, and 20. I do have some plans of doing some service days as like either half days or full days scattered throughout the year that will help some kids achieve those things and get all of us out in the community and having sign-ups for who needs help. And so that's something that you'll see going into the year. And then there's some wordings on threats. If anybody hears threats, gives the numbers to the offices so they can speak and ask to speak directly with school administrators outside of school hours. They need to contact, again, local law enforcement, and they can contact us as well. This just gives guidance on that. And then the last one was just changing, the state decided to change the academic and eligibility policy statewide. So if you fail a class at the end of your grading period, it used to be that you had to sit 30 calendar days, and they changed that to 20 calendar days there. That's for high school only. Everything else is the same. They're all laid out there with our policy. When we updated last spring of what our good conduct policy and our academic policy looked for our junior high kids to make it equitable compared to our high school kids. So those are the only changes. Those are the only three.
My turn.
Your return, take it away, Mr. Dean.
Mine's a little more simple. Really, the only main change was kind of that dress one that Mr. P hit on a little bit. To me, it just kind of said junior high and high school was specific, and then elementary was left. It was consistent, but inconsistent, kind of detailed to junior high school. So we just kind of talked about taking that out and just saying teachers in general, A, for consistency, and then B, I guess to me on a personal note, the professionalism dress coming to work each day kind of paints a picture too, just the way that you're dressed, and it, I don't want to say it gave leverage, but it just kind of clarified and cleared up some of that language. So that was really the only piece for me, I think, that was much different.
Do you want to speak to any of these things from the elementary handbook changes? Minor things. I think Mr. Schmidt helped to compile a lot of these for you coming in.
Yep. So I'll be honest, I didn't mess with that a whole lot because she had said that was stuff that she had kind of went through. Some of that was absences, so she had mentioned to me that if a student was gone, sometimes they'd spring a trip, and teachers would sometimes have to adjust lesson plans based on students understanding what was going on or not. And then kind of what Patty had mentioned to me was, kids would come and say, hey, I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks, can you get me that? And sometimes teachers were like, well, we have a plan, but sometimes those plans shift based on how students performed. Did they get it the first time? So I guess that first language was just kind of shifting to, if you missed for a trip, you get things after instead of before, was the basic language of that. So dismissal, that second one was just kind of a minor. I think it just changed some times and moved it up a little bit. So kind of our dismissals at the end of the day, preschool goes a little bit earlier. A couple minutes later, the lower grades, so like kindergarten through second or third goes, and then 4 through 6 a couple minutes after. So I think that's what the next ones were. Going down. The medication piece, she had just highlighted in there was essential oils. There must have been, I guess the brief description, there was an incident that must have occurred last year where it didn't have specific language. So the way she relayed that to me was just simply that was an update to, again, clarify some of the language when things pop up, so.
So when it says without the following, is that relating to the table? Or is there supposed to be other messaging below that?
What do you, tell me,
After essential oils or medication from other countries will not be administered to without the following. And then should there be messaging about?
yes, this was pulled from the handbook. This was page 20. So yeah, that was just copied. All that language still exists. That part wasn't being changed.
Okay, so there's
If I go
more
to
under
page
it, I'm
20,
just not seeing it here, okay.
Yeah, this is all like, yep, without the following,
Okay.
and then it goes into that in the handbook.
I was confused.
Yep, no.
Yeah, and then I guess the last one for me was the library is a pretty simple one. She was just taking out media center to clean up language, is kind of what she said. So just a simple clarity thing.
So, a lot less to clean up and fix this year, which is a good sign in my opinion. Any questions on any of those recommendations?
I'll make a motion to update the staff and student handbook changes, exhibit 4.
Second. Been properly by Jody, second by John to approve updates to staff and student handbooks for exhibit 4. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approved purchase of elementary ELA Curriculum Resource Exhibit 5.
So, you've heard this a dozen times, if not more, that our focus for next year in the elementary building is on our English and language arts. That's the one area where we've kind of been stagnant when it comes to proficiency or increasing the rate of proficiency in our elementary school. If you remember, this time last year, we were approving new math curriculum. We made that our focus last year. We implemented that throughout the building and saw somewhere in the ballpark of 20% increase in our math proficiency gains. So we're excited to turn our focus to English and language arts. This is a research-based curriculum. It's pretty exciting in that we not only anticipate it to positively impact learning in reading and writing, but also in science and social studies. Amplify, which offers the ELA Curriculum, goes above and beyond by integrating science and social studies content standards based on the grade level into the content that the students are reading. So, a traditional reading series might give a kid, just some fictional nonsense story and ask them to apply or, learn different standards through the reading of that content. This kind of takes it to the next level by exposing kids to things like, for example, third grade, looking at, space and planets and things like that. That science content is integrated into the reading just to kind of maximize the exposure that kids get and expanding their background knowledge, which helps with their reading comprehension and also their acquisition of the science and then social studies standards. So we're recommending a 5-year purchase of this. There are many districts around us that have recently implemented this curriculum with success, or are doing it this year as well. One of the districts that is also going this direction is Delwood. They're in the same process or the same stage of implementation as we are. So it's been really helpful. I know Mr. Daniels and Ms. Raby at Delwood have been working together closely, both being first-year principals, taking on this new curriculum, this kind of driving the focus of the professional learning. Here in this building, this is going to be a huge driver of the Wednesday early out PDs. I've spoken with Mr. Daniels and I'm just really excited about the work that they're going to be doing on those Wednesday early outs. It's going to be much more heavily focused on new learning. In addition to learning how to use the curriculum resource, they're also going to be engaging in what's called letters training, which is connected to the science of reading. It's a statewide initiative and a requirement to some extent to make sure that your teachers are receiving this training, because it's been proved by research that it enhances students' ability to acquire those foundational reading skills and then apply them in the later grades. Some of the other neat ways that we're going to be utilizing our partnership with Delwood is by reducing some of the training costs. So we're working with them. The trainer was off this week that was working with us on the quote. So we're getting some clarification on what PD we can eliminate and cut some costs on because of some of the partnering that we're doing. But I'm recommending motion to approve this purchase. It's a 5-year purchase for $85,000. That gets us the kits, the site licenses, the teacher materials, everything that we'll need for the students for the next 5 years. I also want to throw out just my appreciation for what Mrs. Schmidt did on her transition out. In my role, I've worked with a lot of different people, principals in particular, that have gone another direction. I was just really grateful for Mrs. Schmidt's commitment to doing her work. She worked all the way through June, and as I've been working with Mr. Daniels to support the transition of him into the building, and he has shown me what Mrs. Schmidt has left him, it's above and beyond. She left him with a very well mapped out plan for professional learning for next year, for acquiring these professional the curriculum resource materials, and so just really grateful for her leadership and sticking through and making sure that she leaves things in a good place, which I believe that she has. Any questions on that curriculum?
Are we gonna try any at the pre-K level?
Preschool is required by the state to use a different, separate curriculum. So that's spelled out for us. So we already have a quality curriculum in the preschool classrooms. Good question.
So the 85,000, that's the max it could be, if we could drop below that if we had to at least.
Correct. I anticipate it being less than 80,000, but until I have that professional learning costs sorted out, that would be the only thing that would change the cost for professional learning, where we would be splitting that some of the virtual training costs with.
When do you anticipate finding a set number?
By early next week at the latest. Yep.
Is there a motion, discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the elementary ELA curriculum Amplify.
I'll second it.
Been properly moved by Joe, second by Chris, to approve the purchase of elementary ELA curriculum resource exhibit 5. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Oh,
I'm for it.
okay. Item 7, approve student fees for 24-25 school year.
So recommend keeping student fees where they're at. They're $50 per student with a max of $120 for a family that would have 3 or more students in the district.
I'll make a motion to approve the student fees for the 24-25 school year as stated.
Second.
Properly moved by Joe, properly moved by Chris, seconded by Joe, to approve the student fees for 24-25 school year as presented. When was the last time we changed them, Chris?
I believe, hey Adam, do you recall the last time that we increased it? Was it last year where we went up by 5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the 50's been the same for a while, hasn't it?
What's that?
The 50 for the single? Is it just the family that one?
I could be mixing up, like, if you want me to dig in deeper.
I mean, it doesn't
I was
matter,
just
it's not
curious.
much.
Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 8, approve update meal prices for the 24-25 school year.
So that should be 24, 25. There are no changes other than, what's that?
No same, same.
Yep. Yep, just the milk, we're going 35 to 45 cents.
I'll make a motion to approve the updated meal prices for 24-25.
Second.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Walt, to approve the updated meal prices for the 24-25 school year. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve contract with Life Connections for school-based therapy service.
So again, a continuation of the services that we already utilize. Additional good news, they are committing some additional resources to our school just based on need. When we went in disagreement with them, they told us that these costs are for the time outside the time that they're working with kids, but they will not put a cap on the number of kids that they'll serve. And they are adding additional staff to make sure that we have services for all students in both buildings, that the parents feel that their children can benefit from therapy services. So recommend continuing the contract with Life Connections.
How many kids are they typically servicing, or what does the service entail, I guess?
We were previously around 20 district-wide, and that number, we anticipate being a little bit above that going into the year.
These people come to the schools then, or they go off-site?
Correct. Yep,
They
they
come
come
to
to the
you.
school.
Okay.
That's correct. Yep. They start off with an intake, like no therapist is ever meeting with a child without, parent authorization. There's an intake process, all the paperwork has to be completed. Parent comes and meets with a therapist, signs off on everything, and then time is scheduled with the students in private office.
Tilted certain days or as needed?
During the school day?
It varies based on the number of students and as kids. Yeah, it is during the school day.
Pulling these kids out of class?
During non-core times.
Non-core time?
Yep.
Okay.
So it varies based on core instruction times, which kids are getting those services and which therapists are working.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with Life Connections for school-based therapy services.
I'll second it.
Been properly moved by Joe, second by Chris, to approve connections with Life Connections with school board-based therapy services. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approve purchase of technology network equipment.
So we have some technology network equipment that Jeff identified as needing to be replaced. He worries that if it's not, it's at the end of its life cycle, and we previously approved a plan to move forward with this round of purchasing. It was utilizing some E-rate funding, which is federal funding that's made available to schools to offset those costs. Unfortunately, we did not get the full reimbursement amount that we were anticipating through E-rate. And so it does require an additional commitment of the district of $21,650.36. I spoke with Adam about this. I spoke with Jeff, our technology director, and just said, help me understand the need. Jeff said, if we need to roll the dice, we could, but he definitely recommended getting all of our, it's a lot of our hot spots and things to make sure that we have internet access consistent throughout the building. I talked with Adam, and he kind of agreed that, while we hate to be spending down our PEPA 1% budget, it is a need, and if we don't do it this year, we're going to have to turn around and spend that same money next year. So recommend moving forward to make sure that we have the equipment that we need.
Is this in the elementary or the high school?
It's a little bit of both.
So
How come-
would the elementary have been done when we with the renovation? Wasn't that all new?
Not all of it was new. Now, I can go back and pull the bid if you want. Now look at what it consists of.
No, how come they shorted us on our money?
I don't know.
They don't give a reason.
Yeah, I don't
Letter of
know.
agency. Gonna let that say.
Craig needed it worse.
So Jody, I'll display this. But a lot of it does appear as like licensure, which is on a 3-year basis. So anything that was licensed when we first moved into this building, all of that would need to be new. I don't know specifically how some of the different hardware is broken down between the buildings.
So we received some funding, just not all of it.
Correct. Right.
So how much did we receive?
73.
Is that what you see, Kathy?
Down here on the bottom, is that where it shows?
Yep.
Is that what it has?
Total commitment from the federal funding, it looks like was $55,293.
How much did we put up?
We put up it appears just under 50,000 initially. Adam, would you interpret that in the same way?
Lean back, go back and tell them we'll meet them in the middle.
Will it work in your line of work?
Sometimes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, never mind.
Is there a motion to approve purchase of technology? Exhibit 6.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Properly moved by Kurt, second by Dylan to approve purchase technology network equipment, exhibit 6. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approved bid for restroom plumbing in the elementary, exhibit 7.
So when you break that down, what that consists of is all the plumbing, water, drainage related needs to be able to have a restroom that would be located on the back of our elementary school shed. Our staff would do the minor improvements that will need to be made just for a wall and such. But we have a bid recommended for approval, amount of $11,600 from Eastern Iowa Plumbing. They are going to come out, be boring a water line in. They're also going to be putting in sink, toilet, 6-gallon hot water heater. The sewer and everything will also be run. This is going to provide multiple benefits to that area. I met with our transportation director and our drivers in the spring last year to kind of talk to them about their needs. They were very adamant that having a restroom back there was a priority, just in proximity to where they are. When they're out driving, our routes, being able to use the restroom quickly before or after. But then also when they're doing a lot of their routine maintenance, having close and easy access to a place to wash their hands with hot water, just to wash off the grease and the chemicals and the things that they might be getting exposed to in some of those maintenance responsibilities. It's also going to bring water back there to that area where we don't currently have water. So it's going to provide another access point where we can pull water for any needs over there if we need it for that outdoor schoolhouse area, or we need it for ball fields or any of the grass or anything. Trees out on that end of the building will now have an access point. When we built this building, our goal was to have multiple spigots on the outside of the building to have water access, but when we were trying to cut some costs, that was one thing that was adding some costs to the overall project, so we did eliminate those. So this will add some water access back in a spot of the building where we don't currently have that.
Since we plan to use the insurance money from the storm damage at the bus barn, is that gonna cover all of it?
And then some.
Perfect. I'll make a motion to approve the bid for the restroom plumbing in the elementary shed.
Second.
Been properly by Dylan, second by Walt to approve bid for the restroom plumbing in elementary exhibit 7. Any discussion? What's the timetable?
I talked to Brandon earlier this week or late last week. He said he had the ability to do it. He didn't tell me exactly when he'd be out, but I imagine before school starts.
I would push to have it done before school, because I know he's short-staffed,
Yep. Okay.
so.
Yep. I'll follow up with him. I told him I was bringing this tonight. He said he'd be prepared.
Would this be in, or I guess it's fenced off between there and the playground, this wouldn't have to be a use for teachers at the playground or something like that? It'd probably be an internal
Correct.
door only, there wouldn't be another exterior door.
Yes, it would. The door would be inside of the shed. Yep. To get access into this restroom. Yes.
Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. First reading, board policy 8900 series.
All right, so I added some updates. I did this prior to last meeting when I wasn't able to be here. I was informed that this part was tabled, and so Kathy was able to print some feedback that we collected from the community through our review process. I did drop that into our folder today, so if you have access to that, Adam and I read through it. We made a couple minor updates based on some of the feedback, just some things that were very minor changes, but we'll allow you to review those, come back next month, take another look at the policies, and kind of go from there.
Does anyone have any comment on the 800, 900 series? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the first readings?
I'll make a motion to approve the first reading of board policy 800, 900 series.
Second it.
And properly by Jody, second by Chris to approve the first reading of board policy 8900 series. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approve process for additional review of board policy language.
Following our meeting last month, when I wasn't present, Adam met with me to kind of go over and just pass along feedback, update me on conversations and discussion that was had. I know this item was tabled, so I did revise kind of a couple options for how we can go about reviewing all the feedback and updating policies accordingly. The two different options, are essentially the same. One involves taking the feedback back through SIAC to get additional suggestions, input, and ideas. The other involves just utilizing a couple of board reps who would be a part of the process to review that feedback. Either one that we approve tonight, assuming we're comfortable moving forward. I'd like a couple of board reps to identify or offer to support that process, to sit with me to go through all the written feedback that we've collected and look at our policies specifically and make some determinations on what needs to be changed and what would remain the same.
You know what the time commitment would be?
It would depend on the approach that we take. I think if it's me and a couple of board reps, I think this would be a half a day process or 2.5 days max. If we go and gather additional input, the time would be dependent upon how much additional input we receive and where we go with it.
Well, I would lean toward option 2. You think a half a day? Is it that much? Is somebody writing
I
about?
would guess that would be on per, how much is on each policy.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, and it can be broken up. It doesn't have to all be done at once.
Right.
see how far we get.
I mean, couldn't it be done like with 2 people on Zoom or something?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Presented on screen and walk through it that way.
Yep, Kathy has helped to gather and organize, so we have for every series, we have all the feedback that's been provided. It's already kind of been reviewed once by myself, but this would just be a process, and I could do some things in the front end to streamline the
Right.
process and just call attention to these are the things we didn't have more discussion about, these are, what we just tweak a couple words or something.
Well, I make a motion to approve option 2. Yeah.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Chris to approve process of additional review of board policy language option 2. Is there any discussion?
So the 2 board reps don't have to be the same for each series every time we do it. We can, as we go through a series, we can just assign, we have 2 different volunteers.
Unless that's you and Dan, then I think that would be fine. No, that's fine too.
Okay. So each time we have a series, we would just have 2 people that would review,
No, just
Chris and
rotate.
from there. Yeah.
Yep. Or if 2 people would, offer to support this work tonight, we can dig in, see how far we get. If it's extremely cumbersome, and we need to come back to the next meeting and say, hey, we got through the 400 series. Then at the next meeting, maybe a couple other board members would like to jump in and work with me on the next chunk that we can knock out. Other 2 that would be willing to take a look and see how far we can get before the next board meeting.
I'll volunteer for the first go around.
I would do that too.
Unless you want to, Chris.
No, I like Jody's idea better though. I mean, I like your idea of 2 by 2
Yeah.
and everybody takes their turn.
Right.
I hate to see 2 board members get the whole thing hung on their neck,
That's fine.
Okay. We'll go from there.
So any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approve purchase of high school software.
So it's Code HS is the name of the software program. This is something that we've been utilizing in our computer science classroom with Mr. Sycamore in the junior high and high school. The additional cost is expanding that access to all of our students in the elementary. Mr. Daniels has been key in helping to bring this on. It ensures that all students in all grades are getting exposure to the computer science standards, which are a newer addition to our curriculum and expectations in the state of Iowa. So this would involve some professional learning, which is tentatively scheduled for the start of the school year. And teachers would be taught how to integrate a lot of the computer science standards into their classroom. A lot of it can be done through the software and engaging students in fun ways to learn about the different ways of coding and other things related to technology equipment.
I'd like to think that was $10.88.
And I have a period instead of a comma.
So what will the kids see out of it?
Mr. Dales, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can talk to that. So there's a couple pathways actually with it in the elementary. There's a, they call it like the original, not original, but like the normal Code HS, kind of the traditional, that's the word I'm trying to spit out. And that would be if you had set aside time specifically just for Code HS to do like coding on computer, if that makes sense. They also have an integrated pathway, which I'll be honest is kind of where I'm leaning right now, just because there's only so many minutes in a day, and if you try to focus on too many things, you don't do anything well. The integrated pathway would be largely focused on science and social studies, really. So like during that set block, the state hasn't laid out from anything that I can find yet, like, hey, you have to have an hour every week. But what they do say is that they highly recommend having set aside time to do coding, this similar to the software what it integrates, and basically that it's coming at some point, there's gonna be a requirement. So I think this A brings consistency to the things going on in the high school, and then B, it also gets us ahead of the game a little bit of starting to implement that. So anyways, right now I'm leaning towards kind of that science social studies integrated pathway. That being said, I'll talk about the schedule here in a little bit when it gets to be my turn. There might be some pockets in a couple grade levels that there might be some time to, if we have, there might be some set aside time depending on how the schedule works out to extra supplement that, if that makes sense. But the integrated pathway is probably gonna be the easiest way to go that I'm seeing, so.
The start kindergartners at an upper level elementary, I'm assuming.
It starts all the way down to kindergarten, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's a K-6 thing, yep. Yeah, now how what it looks like each grade level, obviously.
Say, what does that look
a
like
little
there?
different. You know, in the depth of what's going on with the coding. And again, not to talk too much, but like in a middle school, we used to have a coding class that used something very similar. It was a different platform, but it was similar, but it levels up like anything else.
They kind of gamify the experience. Like when I ask the kids to compute complex formulas or something,
Yep.
Kids don't even really know that they're learning the foundational elements of coding when they're doing it through a game-based scenario in the software. It is something Mr. Sigma has been pushing us to go toward. It is something that he uses, and he has communicated how much more helpful it would be for his program if kids came into it with some of the foundational skills, which they will not have through this.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the code HS program for the elementary.
I'll second.
Is the cost different for the integrated, or what did you say was the 2 levels?
I don't believe so. It's just, hey, these are the 2 paths, whichever training you want, however your staff wants to use it. I think, as far as I know, Mr. Fee, correct me if I'm wrong, they're both available when you purchase it, I think. It's just a matter of how you want to intertwine it and link the standards to it.
Been prompted by Jody, seconded by Dylan to approve the purchase of Code HS software up to the dollar amount of $10,880. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Approved renewal of Leader in Me contract.
So, annual approval that we need here to continue our partnership with Franklin Covey and the Leader in Me, which is kind of the foundation of our culture and how we do things to engage all kids and help teach them some of the leadership skills that they need to be successful in life.
So what do we get for the 9100s? We've been doing Leader in Me for a lot of years, and do you get new things every year? Is it training for the teachers? What exactly is it that you have to keep adding to, you know?
Yep, so it's a yearly license and it's kind of broken down. I know that they do introduce new things. Last year they just rolled out access to a whole bunch of new content that was grade level specific that takes a lot of the work off of the teacher's plate as they introduce the 8 habits as we teach students now. So it's broken down by developmental level and gives teachers the resources and the tools to lead their classes through the conversations, the new learning, the discussions, and then the application of these habits.
So do you think the value of the structure is important and not something we could, that we couldn't teach these kids these habits and, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Without.
Like if you were just doing it from scratch, it would be near impossible to do it at the level of quality that you can with the support.
Right.
Once we have access to, through the license that we renew, could we duplicate some of the content or materials? Like, yes, you could. Like it's copyrighted and not allowable.
Right.
But we
But
also.
I guess the concepts, you're teaching the kids concepts that are social concepts.
Mhm.
And do we need their packet after we've been doing it so long that does the staff already know enough about what we're teaching in the social concepts to do it on their own or not?
No, and another piece of it is also the training that we receive and the coaching. So like with Mr. Daniels being new, I think you've already connected with our coach, have you not? Yep. So, receiving the support, the coaching, someone to bounce ideas off of, that's critical anytime you have a new leader. But they also provide kind of the onboarding support for new teachers as they come on, making sure that they get up to speed with what they need to implement this with fidelity throughout our building. We also have like the surveys, the measurable results assessment that we administer to gather data about our climate culture. So there's a number of pieces. I don't
So the value
disagree
is
at all.
there in your
The
opinion?
value is there in my opinion. It's extremely pricey, but without it, we would not have near the quality of program to lead this work.
Do we get to give feedback?
What's that?
Do we get to give feedback like this is working, this isn't working? Why is it working or not working?
I mean,
Can
we have a
change
coach
this?
that comes out and meets with our principals, and instructional coach, and our Lighthouse team. I don't know what feedback, and I don't think Mr. Daniels will probably be super helpful or be able to speak from
Right.
experience.
Yeah, I mean,
I guess in my line of work, I see that kids probably need a little more life skills. So the earlier we can get them started with that, the better off they would be.
Yep.
If it's not added somewhere in there.
Yep. So, and I'll be honest, I can't speak to what it looks like here currently or how it's flowed in the past. I can speak to like previous experiences with it. It's like you're getting at the application piece. That's where that coach that he's referring to comes and starts kind of like fidelity checks of like, hey, what's working, what's not working, how are you implementing it, what does it look like? Again, I can't tell you conversations that have happened here are exactly the successes and struggles, if you will. But I can tell you that's been my experience with it, so.
So maybe as new eyes, you can take some notes, and next year,
Yeah,
when
I
we're
mean, I'm
having
sure.
this conversation,
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some
What
learning
your
for me with
perception
it
of
too,
it.
of what it looks like, how we're utilizing it. You know, if it's a consistent approach. Again, this isn't a Macokota board meeting. We did have it at Macokota, and we had 30 minutes set aside to do lessons. I know of some other schools that have went a route of intertwining the concepts into math, science, social studies, and kind of putting it in those, what am I trying to spit out, like curriculum maps, and pulling that concept into how could George Washington have been more proactive in this situation, if that makes sense. So again, I think to me, I've heard different things from different teachers on different pockets of how they're using it. I think I need to kind of see what's going on so that I can better have my head wrapped around, hey, this might be how we utilize this best. So it's not really an answer for you guys, but
How often do you have contact with this coach then, or our staff have contact with him?
I don't know if that, you know, if there's different hiring. I will tell you that in my previous experience, there was about 6 dates throughout the year. Usually, and our trainer was from like west of Des Moines. There's different ones, you know, I don't know where they're all located throughout the state, but I think there was like 2 in-person dates. Plus, on top of that, there was a full day PD before the year started, so that would be 3 if you count that. And then I want to say there's 3 or 4 virtual dates where, you know, there was like an administrative team with like our instructional coach, our counselor, that we would meet virtually and kind of go over struggles and positives.
I guess I would say, I mean, is from a parent standpoint, I really like the program. I mean, my kids can rattle off the 7 habits. I mean, 8 now, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, but it is very impressive. I mean, it's the leadership skills they teach them and stuff. So I do really like whatever it is they're doing.
We have a Lighthouse team of students in 4th through 6th grade that come in early once a week to help plan different school-wide activities, and it just gives kids, the program gives us a structure to follow that helps us to engage kids, give them ownership, help them find their different strengths and abilities to contribute as a leader in our school.
How many years have we been doing it?
I don't know
was Don
exactly,
Reagan
I'd say
on the board?
probably about 5, unless you have any.
I honestly
I don't
don't
think
know
you
how
asked me the
long
same
we've been
question.
It's been longer than that.
Been longer than that.
He was the one that brought it.
So.
So I'm going into my 9th year here. When I came, Andrew had already implemented it,
Yeah,
and we had not. We had not.
Yeah, it was like probably right at that last
Yeah.
year.
Okay, is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the renewal of the leader me contract for the $9,100.
I'll second.
And properly by Chris, second by Walt, to approve the renewal of leader and meeting contract for 9,100. Any discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Administrative reports.
Mr. Daniels, you comfortable leading
Do I
the
like
way?
stand for these or
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
It's like a monumental night here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, I don't have a crazy list. I do have a few bullet points here that I typed up for you guys. The first one is just a bunch of thank yous to throw out. Mr. Fee already alluded to Patty and Pam Cook I want to start with. Both of them paved great ways for new people joining a new position, especially in two important roles. And they had laid out things pretty clearly so that we didn't walk in totally blindly. And on top of that, they both gave us their numbers to reach out and say, hey, if you don't understand this, if you're struggling with this, feel free to get a hold of us. And that's huge support that you don't get everywhere, if that makes sense. So just somebody to connect with and understand the process has been really nice. The next thank you I wrote down was just for staff in general. So after Mr. Fee had pushed out a message that I had been hired for the position, I had sent out an email to meet with people for 15 to 30 minutes. The goal was 100% of staff. Of the list that I received, and this includes teachers, paras, custodians, bus drivers, cooks, there were 52 staff members, and 44 of the 52 have either met with me already or are on for the next week to week and a half. So wasn't quite the 100%, but 44 out of 52 was a pretty good number, I felt like. So that's been really good. In that, we've just been a lot of like get to know you, put faces together, and then glows and grows is kind of what I called it, just to get different perspectives of the building and kind of different people's feelings of, you know, things going really well, areas to improve. So that's kind of been what those were. And then I just wrote down of the no answers, there were 8 people that I hadn't connected with, and 5 of the 8 were either like a bus driver or a kitchen staff or things like that. So pretty good overall on the in-building personnel, I felt like. So next bullet point I had kind of jotted down. We did have a meeting where I kind of got to get to know Andrew Delwood, Mr. Cruzy, kind of where we came together. Mr. Fee went over a lot of the things that we'll need to know in each of our buildings, as well as some consistencies. One of the main things was Skyrocket. I think that might have been approved last board meeting I was at. Just kind of what that platform looked like and expectations and things like that, as well as a lot of the Q&A, again, of somebody new coming into a position. You got 10,000 questions. You kind of feed all the different pieces and figure out how they get put together. So we spent quite a bit of time doing that. So next one I had was just setting the foundation for the year is what I called it, and I've got a whole bunch of bullet points. So if you want me to go more in depth on one, feel free to ask. Schedules and coverages has been a big part of it. Again, Patty did leave me, and I'm going to throw out a big thank you to Jen Johnson now too, because those two I know had worked collaboratively on a schedule. I did comprehend just because it was laid out a little different than, you know, every place does it differently. So the way I typically structure it doesn't mean one way is right or wrong, but we did go through it and found a couple areas to look at some overlap that we had to address. So we're still kind of working on finalizing that. Jen Johnson was just in again today with me, so she's been volunteering time to come in too and work through, so we're in a good place to start the year. Off of that, staff duties, coverages, things like that kind of fall into the scheduling category. Interviews and hiring, spent a good chunk of time with that, interviewing people, getting positions ready for the year. That also sometimes affects your schedule, if that makes sense, knowing who you have, where you have, and what you can utilize. Logistics, back to school, things like that. Color run coming August 21st. A link was sent out today for t-shirts. If anybody wants to come run, it'd be good. Get your t-shirt. And then yeah, beyond that, I just had put amplifying letters meetings, code HS meetings, kind of expectations, learning about the platform and things like that. So yeah, and then the last thing I had kind of put, felt like as a board it might be nice to know kind of what my first year objectives are and kind of what I'm hoping for in my first year. The things I had plotted down were to assess what's going on in the building, obviously making sure safety's kind of at the forefront and we have those areas covered, and then also to communicate the vision. So I put together a little personal mission and statement. What I put was to develop and maintain a tremendously positive culture where students are the focus and people want to come to each day. I feel like obviously academics are important. It's not something we want to have slip through the cracks for sure. But if we have a toxic culture or things aren't flowing well and we kind of forget our vision, sometimes it's tough to put the two things together. So one of the things, again, I don't know if it's corny or not, but John Gordon, I don't know if you guys have heard of the energy bus. So I printed out a little thing for teachers to put in their room somewhere that says no energy vampires allowed, just as an easy way to remind people teaching is a stressful job, but an easy kind of reminder that says, hey, let's pull this back. So that was something fun I was hoping to do. And then the last bullet point I put, I have a family newsletter that I'm gonna send out at the beginning of every month. I'm sure Patty probably did something similar. Mine might look different. But on that, one of the things I'm gonna do is like a monthly nomination form. And this can be anyone, any staff, any kid that's exemplifying leadership, positivity, and just things that you would look for in a school and a positive community. So that's gonna get pushed out in that newsletter to everyone. If you want to nominate someone, it would come through me. And then basically I'm gonna say exemplary candidates will be highlighted kind of in the next newsletter. So yeah, that was kind of what I applauded, so.
Perfect. Any questions from Mr. Daniel?
Nope, good luck.
I got a quick question. After meeting with most of the staff, do you have any glaring opportunities come up repeatedly that we need to work on?
Yeah, glaring opportunities, that we said, Walt?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will tell you that the most consistent thing that I heard kind of connected to the vision I just read to you, and it was sometimes forgetting the why behind what we're doing and focusing on some areas of struggle. And there were various, I can't give you one, this was the specific, but what I would say is the general theme of GROWS was just simply remembering what we're here for and why we're here. That would be the general, of the 44 people I met with, just throwing a random number, I would say 20. About half, maybe a little less than half said that similar concept, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Starting out, I just want to echo again Chris's thoughts on Lola. I really miss her and her smile and her witty comments that she'd make all the time every day when I walk through there. I was able to attend her funeral, and it was a sad time for sure. Moving on to other things, performing arts, color guard marching band have been practicing again one time a week. They've been going on Tuesday nights. Up at the high school, our ag students are busy prepping, doing last minute stuff for both fairs that are coming in the next week. We're also excited about some new ag related courses that are offered. Some of them include greenhouse management, vet science, food processing, some of those things that we're adding as well with that extra teacher that we have. Athletics wise, baseball, softball, both junior high and high school have wrapped up their seasons. Volleyball is going to attend team camp tomorrow at Kirkwood. Our football team is doing a 5-on-5 scrimmage Sunday. I think that's at Midland, but I'm not 100% sure. I just know they're going on Sunday. The state mandated Dead Week takes place in a week and a half, so July 28th through the 4th, where no coaches can have contact with the kids, so they get that time off before fall sports start rolling again. Open gyms and lifting continue to be offered. The numbers of boys showing up at weights has picked up since baseball's ended, which is good. Our girls in the weight room are averaging about 13 or 14 girls per session that we're running right now. So again, it's been a really good summer for them as well. Academics, yesterday I sent out an email to parents and students about just updated offerings and any class changes. I figured if I can get on top of a few of them before they go. I've been heading up that with Miss Woods, sickness and treatments that have been going on this summer, and then now our new counselor is just an in-between thing, so I've been handling those. Hope to get all those things wrapped up until 50 or more requests come in and just sit down and do them again, but we're in a good shape with that. Again, the email that went out had our new class offerings and then also the ones from Marquette that are offered. And we only had one student go up to Marquette to take any last year, but they do have a few new ones there too. We currently haven't got any requests to do it, but we said we would put it out there for them as well, since they do send a lot of kids down our way. We are, Ms. Collister and I are gonna meet and get going on something called Classroom Clinic. And what it is, it's a school-based telehealth. It'd be supplemental support for us, so it wouldn't take away from anything else that we're doing. It just offers online meetings with different counselors and things. It's being trialed throughout the state. In our part of the state, it's covered cost-wise, so I think it's about $16,000 value. For that, it would give us 4.5 hours of therapy a week. So again, 6 to 12 half-hour sessions with them, 2.5 hours of medicine management, 30 minutes every every 2 or 3 months or so. That would continue throughout the summer. So again, that's fully paid for through the first year. They're talking about funding it for another year there too, so we're really out nothing. Just giving this a try and seeing how it all works for us, just trying to be able to reach more kids, be able to do those things.
And this is through parent involvement too, I assume?
Yeah, everything would have to get parental consent to do any of those things, but yeah, just what it would look like is they would come in, we would have a computer or a TV with camera set up in one of in our new student services center in one of the rooms in there to be monitored from the outside that they'd meet with their person in there. Rick Sullivan and his crew have started construction on the student services center, so some of the basic walls are up in both. I know in the new district office as well, the walls are starting to come up there too with the metal studs, so things are progressing in there, so that's fun to see everything kind of coming about and getting there. Different teacher actions, we're going to do collaboration with several surrounding districts this year with our CTE teachers, so that would be like computers, ag, foods, the ones that are singleton teachers, that they're the only teachers that teach this subject area. So we've been in talks with local principals about once a month during PE times to be able to bring those all together, probably virtually, but there might be a couple of times that we do it in person there, but just so they can bounce ideas off each other and just collaborate with each other, with people that are teaching the same types of things in the same types of communities that we have. So that's something I think that'll be a great thing for them to be able to do. I'm revamping our building leadership team and our school-wide intervention team for this coming year, so that'll look just a little bit different of how we go about some things. Again, we'll still use the same groups, but they'll be structured a little bit differently. And then another thing, I threw this number out to Mr. Fee last week about our changes, and thank you for approving all our personnel things, but I'm very excited about the direction that we're going. The leaps and bounds that we're going to make as far as who's where and what they're doing, I think that's going to make drastic improvements. So we have 30 total instructional positions that affect us at the junior high and high school. Of those 30, 12 of them will be in the same position as they were in May. So 12 of the 30 weren't touched. 18 of them are new or changed since May. And 23 of those 30 have been affected by either change of assignment of teaching or change of room that they're going to be in. So just after seeing everything, trying to just reorganize and better place people, strategically planning all this stuff, I think that's going to make huge differences. Getting people that are, one, have the background, and two, that are passionate about what they're doing in there. They're not just a teacher in the room, like this is what they want to do and what they're best at doing. And I think that will show with the kids, and it'll help our kids grow leaps and bounds. So I'm really excited about the direction that we're going with everything. Any other questions for July?
How are the visas coming?
Good. We're waiting. We're in, basically got the last paperwork filed. I think I got a message end of last week. So then they have 15 days. The country has 15 days to get back to them. So it looks like everything's really smooth. Licensures all come through fine with as far as teaching licensure. So we're on target. Everything going. So they are in need of a house or an apartment somewhere. So if you know anyone that's renting, they won't be in a position to buy yet until they get here a year or so and established. But they are looking for a rental. They have 3 young kids and then both teachers. So if you hear of anything, let me know so we can pass it on that way. I'm assuming Dana's on her trip right now.
Yeah, she's in Ireland.
Okay, that's what I figured too. But yeah, if you hear anything, let me know on that, please.
Chris? Thank you.
All right, so I just have a few things to touch on. One, just want to apologize, but appreciate your understanding for my absence last month. My wife started feeling ill on Monday night of our board meeting week last month, and by Wednesday morning, she had declined significantly and said, I'm calling you midday, and if you're not, bouncing back, we're going to the doctor. So called her late morning, not doing well, high fever, other issues. Ended up in the doctor's office. They said we need to go over to the emergency room for some additional testing. And long story short, we were in the emergency room till 8:30, 9 o'clock that night, and then she continued to struggle. She had an infection and was just extremely ill for darn near a week, but she slowly but surely bounced back, and so that's the important part. But I don't think I've missed many board meetings in the 8 years that I've been here, so I just do appreciate Adam and helping to lead that, and everybody else being understanding, and hopefully we don't have to deal with that too much in the future. So one thing I'm also super excited about is the work that our facility committee is doing. We've had 2 in-person meetings. We're scheduled for our 3rd meeting on Tuesday of next week. While attendance has been relatively low from, if you look at everybody that's on the committee, there have been some people that have had vacations and things, haven't been able to make meetings, but at our last meeting, I think we had about 15 people present to engage in a visioning activity. Going back to the last board meeting, when I wasn't able to be here, after it, I had some conversations about, who's on the committee, who's not on the committee. I know there were some conversations and discussions here, and the way that I'd like to kind of move forward with it and handle it is work with the people. We had our original core group that was identified, and then we had a second group based on the first meeting that we brought to the board for approval. And then since that time, I've heard of some different names from some of you, from some people on the committee, mainly people that are kind of specialists or have an area of expertise, like would Dan Beck be good on the committee or Pat Hartung because of their experience with coaching and basketball, or Jay Pauley for performing arts. And so what I've shared with some people that have asked is just the plan is to engage those people on an as-needed basis. Currently, in the last board meeting, we did a visioning activity where we kind of broke down the different areas as it pertained to particularly extracurriculars, but we also added in kind of a miscellaneous category, and then just a school needs category to look at what's working well, what needs exist, what vision do we have for the future. And everybody submitted their input separately. Then we kind of went over, reviewed it as a group, added some additional thoughts. Our architect group, who we're partnering with on this master planning process, went back, compiled all the information. They also tallied everything based on the feedback that was submitted so far. So if we were talking about like the baseball field, if 16 people made mention of the fences, then they noted that, and then they used that to assign kind of some areas of prioritization based on that initial input. I've since shared that input with our activity director, Mr. Irwin, and asked him to help collect input from our other coaches and program directors prior to our next meeting to make sure that if there's something we overlooked, that perhaps they can add some additional things that need to be considered for their area. But we're going to come back our next meeting. The goal by the end of the next meeting is to have a survey developed. We're looking to develop a shorter survey, somewhere in the ballpark of 15 questions, but the committee thought it was really important for them to be heavily involved on what questions it includes or discludes, and how we word and roll things out, because if we're going to try to keep it short and concise, it's going to be a challenge because there's a lot of information that we want to get. But our kind of tentative timeline is to approve that in our meeting next Tuesday, and then send that out to the community to gather additional input that we'll have back in the next 2 weeks to approve at our, I think it's an August 6th meeting. So that's going really well. Just greatly appreciate everybody that's been able to be a part of that process. It's been very positive. The first meeting we established norms and expectations. Everyone has handled different situations just cordially and treated one another with respect, even if opinions are different. So just everybody working toward looking at how we can make the greatest impact on students in the most cost-effective manner. As long as everybody comes to the table with that mindset, we're going to continue to do great things together. So I did kind of compile all that information from our first 2 meetings. I sent all of you an email earlier today. I sent it out to our committee members, and then I also posted it to our website with a whole bunch of links included, so people can see some of the PowerPoint slides that we've been looking at in the meeting, so people can see who's on the committee, who's participating, what's the purpose of our committee. I added the vision activity that our partners helped us to kind of aggregate. That's on there, the prioritization sheet. So any of you, anybody in attendance, anybody in the community has access to that. And I think feedback from the committee members has just been like, let's be transparent. Let's make sure, if the committee wants to know what's going on, let's make sure they know who's on the committee, who can they ask, why are you meeting, what's this all about? So we'll continue to push information like that out so that people can kind of see the work that's being done behind the scenes, because it's an important process that we're going through, and hopefully it gives us some clarity on the direction that we want to go with facilities and grounds in the near future. The other thing, Mr. Daniels referred to this a little bit, but we have been pulling our kind of principal network together. We've had meetings with all of our principals in our partner districts. Mr. Cruzy and Mr. Daniels have also met with me on multiple occasions and also met together with me. I just greatly appreciate their collaborative mindset. Some of the conversations that we've had early on have been around the importance of aligning both of our buildings so we can get away from any notion or perspective of us and them. We are one district, and the more that we can align our interests and work together collaboratively, just have that family atmosphere that we want in our district. It requires our leaders of our buildings to work together. So they've been doing a great job so far communicating. If we're rolling something out in one building, trying to have that conversation with the other buildings, so similar employee groups are impacted the same way, and just making sure we have equity between what's happening in our schools, and everybody feels like we're on the same team. So that's gone very well, been a very positive experience so far. I'm also extremely excited for the Skyrocket training that you helped to approve at the last meeting. We have Skyrocket coming in person. They're going to be joining us on July 30th and 31st. We're going to be meeting Mr. Daniels and Mr. Cruzy, along with their instructional coaches, and then also the principals and instructional coaches of Delwood and Andrew, along with 2 of our AEA reps. They're going to be providing ongoing support. They're all going to be a part of this training. It's going to be 2 days focusing on the leader actions and then the teacher actions. The first day we're going to focus and drill down a lot on our core values and our beliefs around how we achieve our mission and vision, and then talking about how that impacts, or what that looks like in different areas related to coaching, evaluation, observations, feedback given to teachers. And then day 2 is going to be pretty intensive supports for coaching, how to have critical conversations, what to look for when we're in classrooms. We'll be watching videos of teachers delivering lessons, and all of our leaders that are present are going to be looking at, what do they see? What feedback would they be providing that teacher? How would they be helping that teacher? Maybe they're a struggling teacher or a high-performing teacher, but coaching is all about taking them to the next level regardless of where they're at. So I'm very excited that we're able to bring that here, a lot because of the reduced cost, because of the partnership that we have with these other schools. So just between reducing costs, the added collaboration, and then supports from the AEA, just looking forward to digging into that work and then seeing it come to fruition throughout the school year. Those were the items I wanted to update you on.
Thank you. Any questions for Chris? I guess on your facility committee, I had 3 of the community ones call me, and they're concerned about the time frame. They may not roll stuff out till after November, so they don't think we're going to go to a vote. So
Sure.
You might want to get consensus at your next meeting.
We've had some initial conversations, which is all perfectly fine. There's no agenda or anything. We'll gather input. We'll see where we're at. We have meetings scheduled through August on a bi-weekly basis, trying to work toward having information available if the board wanted to move towards something.
That's fine. I'm just making you aware of it. So.
Yep. Nope, I do appreciate it.
Public forum, 2 minutes. Richard, would you like to go first?
Yep. Based on last month's continued outbursts from Board President Craig Hines to stop my public comment, it is important that the board understand freedom of speech allows me to make a public comment uninterrupted, protecting me from government interference. I expect no interference will occur ever again. June's legal minutes should have been amended as Kathy Meyer is noted as school board president, which makes it evident that the president or board members do not read any documents they are presented and therefore are not doing their elected job. No line item was added to the agenda to present and discuss the Iowa State assessment scores, which although better, still fall below state average. Continued disregard for Board Policy 209.02, adopting a policy states in part, the proposed policy changes will be distributed and public comment will be allowed at both meetings prior to the final board action. Public comment should have taken place on both item 12 and 13, titled Approved Process for Additional Review of Board Policy Language, of which would be considered discussion of a new board policy. This new board policy would be created under 209.02, if not, would otherwise be considered illegal. The purpose of these policies is the community to check and balance power so no insanity can occur. Policy 801.5, bids and awards for construction contracts should be reworded to comply with Iowa Code Chapter 26, 72, and 73 instead of deleted. Based on the above information and the board superintendent's refusal to course correct, I believe it is in the best interest of the students and taxpayers that the board and Chris Fee immediately resign based on the illegal actions of not adhering to state laws and board policies.
Nick, would you like to go?
Yeah, I just had a few things. I know I'm not a school teacher or whichever, but like before you buy a curriculum, they usually give you the, test session and let you roll it out. I mean, I don't think we're gonna see anything, leaps and bounds over the ELA this year. It's probably gonna take a year or so because it usually takes a year just to understand the curriculum. So I just think we should have piloted that. The other thing I had was on that temp leave on cosmetic. I mean, was that abused or something? Because, I don't think it should be the superintendent principal's discretion if it's cosmetic or not. Whether it's, cosmetic as in teeth or how they, Thing is, I was off for how long and my wife took off school and she took FMLA and she never got paid from the school. So it was the discretion of how it was, wrote up in their policies, which I needed her care and she should have been able to take sick leave for that, which was whatever. The other thing I had was the foundation. I got calls about a foundation getting poured in the back of a baseball field somewhere over there, and they sent me some pictures. I said, no, that's not where the greenhouse is going. I would like to have the greenhouse there, but it's not. It's supposed to be probably for the shed or whichever. I know we just bought jump pits for the track and whichever that were stored in that existing shed, and I did look at the pictures of the condition of them, and they were worried about mold and mildew all over all the, that had to get $15,000 worth of padding replaced, and it came from that building. That building was full of mold and mildew, and you're gonna have the same problem with that foundation up there that they just poured because there's no vapor barrier down, and I seen fiberglass rebar in there, which is not crucial for a foundation. I see a lot of problems. I think that should go to an architect and have a design made for it. Not just the handyman around the area putting in a project for us. Not only that, if it's over that $5,000 mark, it's supposed to be approved by the board, the location and whichever. Also, that could have went through our facility meeting about that.
Nick, your time's up, so you can
Thank
finish
you.
up. Thank you. Rhonda's not here. Board request. Anyone have a request? Who's taking care of the outbuilding between the softball and baseball diamond this summer? Okay. I'll have a discussion with you after the meeting. Set next board meeting and time.
I'll make a motion motion to set the next board meeting for Wednesday, August 21st, 6 o'clock at the high school.
Second.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Dylan to approve next board meeting Wednesday, August 22nd in high school ag building. Ag room.
Wednesday's the 21st, but that's also open, our orientation nights, color run night. all
Should
that
we do it
stuff.
here? Oh, it's all.
Yeah, the color run gets
Which-
done at about 6 and then there'll be cleanup and stuff, so.
Which is fine, like, we can make it all work, just want you aware of that.
I'm supposed to DJ the color run.
You might be a little late for the meeting.
Work out if we go a little bit earlier or later.
Yeah, I can make either work, I'll just have to, for me, like delegate how we're gonna get
What
things
you just
cleaned
said.
up. I'm just making you guys aware.
It'll be
Here or at the high school?
Scoot in around.
Where's the color?
Yeah, it'd be at the
Color
high
runs
school,
here.
so we
Seven.
can.
Might be easier to have the high
High
school.
Okay, 7 at the high school, I adjust my motion.
It was never seconded. so
7 o'clock the 21st, is that what I heard?
Huh?
Correct.
Yeah, I amend my motion to 7 o'clock.
I'll second the amended motion.
Been properly moved by Jody, second by Joe to amend the motion to August 21st, 2024 at 7 PM in the ag building, or ag room. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, proceed vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Properly by Chris, second by Dylan to adjourn. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.